Today it's all about the transition to level 2. This will be about the transition from the Helix over to level 2. What I got planned for you is take you through what I've done with this transition and also give you a bit of a picture of what I'm going to be doing with the scenery leading from the Helix over to level 2. I thought I'd just take you through some of my plans, what I've got for the top of the Helix as far as scenery goes. Now what I've decided, as we come up to the last tier 5, there's a portal. So basically behind this portal is going to be covered, so you won't see the trains until it comes out of the portal, because from this point onwards up to the top of this tier 5, this is all going to be visible. There's a bit of a horseshoe just before it, so what I thought I decided was the top of this Helix would be ideal to sort of represent that. So what I've got planned on this top level, obviously I'm going to be doing some covering around the outside of the Helix. I mean, I need to still see inside it, so there will be portals to be able to see the trains on the inside, just to make sure if something does go wrong, I can catch it pretty quick. But as far as the top of this Helix goes, we're on the escarpment now. So on the inside here, there's going to be all the bushland. So you've got to remember, I've got level 3 is going to be up here somewhere. So I'm going to take this up a fair distance and sort of represent the escarpment, the bushland behind the main lines. And this will go all the way around. Now with that said, I'm going to take you over to the transition at the top of the Helix leading over to the level 2 and take you through some of the detailed construction work and some of the plans I've got. What we've got in front of us here is looking at tier 5 coming around and then making its way transitioning over to level 2. Now if I pan around, you'll see I've sort of braced it at this end, and if I zoom in you can see I sort of use these metal brackets to sort of help brace some of the wood in sort of awkward angles, that type of stuff. I find it comes in handy. Now as we shoot across, I've done the same to the other side. You can see there I've braced from level 1 up to level 2 framework. With the viaduct itself, I will be sticking with the 8 arches, and obviously you can probably see some templates I've got down there that I sort of picked up one of these cardboard kits. Now it's not something I was contemplating on using, it was just going to be used as a template to get me started. As I've put it up against the layout, I've sort of come to the conclusion that these ones here, they're probably a little bit too small, so I'll be scratch building my viaduct, and those arches are going to be stretched out to be a little bit bigger than what's presented on these card kits. Down underneath the viaduct, I've started to draw in where each of the pilings are going to be. You can see a line there. As you can see, if I line that up with that, these are a lot longer. So that's what I was sort of explaining earlier, where I'm actually going to go with a larger arch. It sort of lines up. Once I put the coaches up here, it lines up a lot better. The size wise, it just looks like it's closer to the real thing. What I'm going to do, it'll be just a plain piece of pine from the bottom to the top, and then later on when I do the scratch building of the actual shape, I'll start to rough it in with some 3mm ply and get the shape of the pilings and that type of stuff. So looking straight ahead there with that curve, the grade of that is 2%. As I transition and come off, this part here is around the 1.2% grade, and then once I hit the bridge area, or what will be the bridge, it's down to a 1.5% grade. I've started my level 2 framework. I've sort of got it to that far down to that corner, and then sort of it meets close to halfway down my train room at this point in time. One of the other things too, I'll just quickly mention, I've changed my brackets coming into level 2. They're flat L brackets, and they're like, I think 5 or 6 mil thick, so they're quite strong. As level 2 is mainly made up of the escarpment, going to be all sorts of bushland behind the tracks going up the wall, so all these brackets will be hidden. You won't actually see any of these brackets. Now for extra strength, I don't know if you can see that too well, you can probably just see the bottom part of it. I've gone with a L bracket again, but a smaller one, just to sort of go in between the larger L's on top, and there's another one there, and they should be hidden as well. Once I put in the big industries down on level 1, those brackets underneath should be well hidden. So everything what I'm sort of planning for level 2 should be hidden, and it should almost look like it's a floating level 2 hanging off the wall. Now, so just back to the elevation. So what I've got planned, as level 2 is about the escarpment, and of course there is an elevation of going up the escarpment on this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually keep the elevation going up as I head around level 2. The station will be on a flatter piece of board over on that side, and then after the station again it will start to elevate down to the northern end and across. And by the time I get to the helix, what I'm hoping is it's roughly 100 mil or more, and then I can actually cut out one of the tiers. So instead of you doing the 5 tiers to get from level 2 to level 3, by the time I get up there, hopefully I only need the 4 tiers from level 2 to level 3. It'll just cut down the work on the helix. The tricky situation is that, you know, this helix will be floating above level 1 there, and obviously I need to have a bit more of a deeper think on how I'm going to be bracing that to make sure that's sturdy enough. So that's one of the challenges that will come up once I get down to that end. Look, there's a couple things I want to talk about on this side. I just want to talk about this beam here, going from that post over to the other side and reaching across to level 2. I ended up putting this beam in there, and I guess this is where I've got the 2 styrofoams there that I wanted to discuss. So that one right in front, right there, just behind the level, that is where the backing wall's going to be, at least behind the Stanwell Park viaduct up to the height of the viaduct. And there'll be a wall stretching right across from that side over there, right to this side over here. And you can sort of see where it's going to sit, and you can see where I've cut the sound deadening felt there. You can see the line it will run up against, that line that I've cut. So there'll be a whole wall there. Originally I was just going to have that wall go all the way up to level 3, and I thought to myself, well, I think that might be sort of restricting the scene of the diorama of the Stanwell Park viaduct. So what I've sort of decided was, yep, I'll put this support beam in for 2 reasons. The first reason being the fascia. So as you know, down on level 1, the fascia will come around, it'll attach there, it'll attach in the middle of that beam there, and attach there, and so on. Well, I'm going to have the same thing happen up on level 2. You can see there I've got the block directly above that one. So everything lines up, it'll attach to that cross beam there in the middle, and so on. It'll come all the way up here and it'll terminate in front of that piece of wood there. Secondly, it gave me an opportunity, I guess, working with restricted space down here on level 1. So obviously I've got the viaduct on one side, I've still got this level 1 scene, the industrial scene, on this side. So at the end of the day, down low here there is some restrictions, and I need to work out how to make it seem bigger than it really is on both sides of that diorama. But I thought, why should I have the same constraint when I get up to level 2 height? So what I've decided is, while that styrofoam represents where the wall will go down in the middle, it'll end below the top of the viaduct there, and then it'll come over and attach itself to this support. The wall will go run along that support. So on the other side where the viaduct is, there'll be a greater depth of scenery behind it. So I'm sort of looking forward to sort of working with that. So I hope you enjoyed that tour. That's what I've done to date on some of the construction work, the transitioning, heading over to level 2. Obviously I showed you some of the plans that I've got in mind for the top of the helix on the southern end, and also showed you a bit of my framework that I've started on level 2.